everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Light. This afternoon, we have a beautiful Medyhne from Queensland, Australia. She is a spiritual teacher and holistic healer coach of 30 years, practicing multiple healing modalities and energy healing. She is a published author, an internationally published singer-songwriter, a visual artist, an international radio host. She does workshops and international retreats, and she founded a successful wellness center in regional Victoria, Australia. She has been known for her YouTube channel, Arise Humanity. And along with that, she has another Rumble channel called Soul Family, multiple Telegram sites, and the Arise Humanity Global Patreon community, which includes community chats, planetary, and self-healing meetings. And she's also currently producing a documentary called The New Golden Age. So there is so much to you, Medyhne. It's like, where do we get started? I
Makes
know
me tired
that
just listening to that.
I learned a lot from you about from your YouTube channel. So why don't you
Oh,
just tell us a little bit about you and what topics we want to dive into first?
sure. I've never actually been that good about talking about myself, funnily enough. But yeah, no, I'm Australian, grew up in Victoria, and when it became very oppressive a few years ago, when the whole, agenda rolled out, I moved up north to Queensland because the energy here is very light, and it's really helped facilitate my greatest passion at the moment, which is painting. I've done a lot of creative things, as you mentioned, over the years, singing, songwriting. I used to perform and written books and things like that. But the energy of 2024 is really inspiring me to paint. And so I'm just absolutely loving that and getting up bright and early and with my paintbrush and just going for it. So that's been a real joy, and really resonates with the energies of where I'm living, which it's funny because before I lived here, I wasn't doing that many paintings. And as soon as I moved here, the energy, it's like it called me to paint. And I think, more in divine alignment with my highest frequency, and it just brought out all this sort of creative element that and my paintings have sort of shifted and changed as I got here as well, and I'm doing way bigger ones and, like, massive sizes and things, and I'm getting commissions from overseas, and it's really exciting. So I that's my current joy at the minute, and I think that that's happening to a lot of people, that 2024 people are often shifting course, and they're finding something in their divine purpose that maybe they haven't done before, or it's a new thing, and it's in alignment with all these, I think, new energies that are being downloaded to the planet through the solar upgrades and all the ascension energies. So that's a bit of a brief rundown of my story.
Yeah, very, very creative background. So you said 2024, the energies of that is really bringing out a lot of artistic paintings, and you're really enjoying that, doing a lot of, how long have you been painting?
Well, I have been painting for quite a few years now, probably just as a very basic hobby. I started about 20 years ago. I remember I never taken art classes. In fact, I couldn't draw when I was young. It's really funny. I wasn't that good drawer, and I always wished I could be good at drawing. And I'd look at other people that, drew things. I think, oh, that's so fantastic. I wish I could do that. And then about 20 years ago, I picked out a canvas. And this is encouragement for anyone out there that hasn't done it and wants to draw or paint. And I thought, oh, look, I'll just give it a go. It's probably going to be terrible, but I'll just give it a go. And I did a sort of a bit of a design on there. And I thought, well, it's not too bad. I think I can do another one. And then I did another one. And they just got actually progressively, quite quickly, much better. And I don't know if I was channeling energies or what, but I've never been taught how to draw or paint at all. And now, since I've moved to this current location, I'm just doing these huge paintings that I never thought I'd be able to do at all. And so I think, maybe all our DNA is being activated more and more in our skills and our spiritual gifts. And I'm thinking, where did this come from? It's like it's just been really activated. And so I'm very excited about that, because it's been actually a secret longing of mine to do, you know, big artworks, but I never in the past thought that I'd be able to do it, or that I'd be good enough to do it. And it's all about, I think, creativity, not judging yourself as well, and just doing it. But I do now look at my paintings and I go, wow, where did that come from? It's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked at your art gallery online and you have very beautiful paintings. And it pulls out this energy when you're looking at the paintings themselves. And what was the progression? What do you see? Like explain to me, because I'm not an artist, I don't paint. That inspiration that comes in. Do you see this in your visions first and then you paint it all out? Can you kind of take us through that process?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for the lovely, kind words. I sort of like, it's like a meditation to me, because I'm very intuitive, and I tune in on things. So for example, I just recently had a lady that wanted me to do a book cover for her book, but she said, I don't know what I want, but this is the title. And so I sort of meditated on it, and I tuned in, and I got an image, and then I sketched it. And then the next day she said to me, oh, look, I've had a bit more of a think, and I think I know now more what I want. And I want blah, 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 blah. And that was the thing that I sketched. So it was sort of like, I guess I do tune in on a high level to what's coming through. And I've had different examples of that. Like I had a commission in the UK as well, and they wanted a dog and a cat. And the cat, I didn't know anything about them, but their favorite cat they'd had was orange. And the cat, the giant big cat in the painting, was orange. And then the dog they loved was a particular type, like a husky. And the dog that I painted looked a lot like a husky. So it's sort of like, I guess, tuning in to what's coming through at that time. And I remember when I was reading, the incredible books by Anastasia, the Ring of Cedars books, and she is very much an inspiration for all creatives, writers, artists, musicians. And when I was reading the Anastasia books, I was guided to paint like a fairy ring. And then this painting came through from goodness knows where. I don't know where I go, but that was really, I realized afterwards, Anastasia really coming through strongly and saying, I'd love you to collaborate with me and paint this painting. And so I did that, and it's one of my favorite ones. So thank you, Anastasia. But yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have found your joy for this year with the painting. But tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey, because it looks like you were working a lot in the energy healing. Is that something you're still doing, or what was the beginning of your spiritual journey?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it was over 30 years ago now, and it was really, I guess, catapulted forward when I had my first daughter, because I remember when she was 2 years old, she went through that phase of the what is it called, the 2-year-old phase, where they say no to everything, and you go, would you like to this? You go, no, I don't want to.
The
Do you
terrible
want to do
twos.
I go, do you want to do this? No, I don't want to. And I thought, I don't want to get grumpy. I don't want to get angry. I'm going to learn to meditate. So I went off and I learned in a group how to meditate. And the spiritual teacher was amazing, actually. And she said to me, you're going to be teaching groups meditation soon. And I said, really? And she said, yes. And then in a short amount of time, I just took to it like a duck to water. And I was teaching groups and working with children, and that sort of moved me forward. So, you know, they say every child activates a beautiful gift for us or a skill. And so my first daughter would have activated that for me, I think, which was really beautiful. And so that just really galvanized me. And I did a whole lot of training in spiritual areas. But you know what? I always think that it's just triggering our inherent divine inner knowing anyway. And I've had these healing abilities, as we all do, really, over many, many lifetimes. In fact, my name, Medyhne, which I channeled about at least 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, time flies, so it's hard to tell. But Medyhne means like medicine woman in Native American Indian, which is like a healing energy, obviously. So that was a really strong past life for me, this Native American Indian life as a medicine woman. So I've done it many times, and so really it's just, I guess, reconnecting on some level to the things that I've done many times before.
Mhm. Mhm. Are you still actively pursuing the healing route as well?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank you for asking. I am. I do mentoring with clients and I do spiritual healing sessions as well. But I am particularly, you know, when you focus your energy and attention on something, it grows and expands.
Mhm.
So I'm um very much focused this year on putting my energetic um sort of motivation and everything towards the painting, because then that will expand. So that's my strategy for being in alignment with my highest joy at the moment. But yes, I am doing some healing with clients. So.
I love that you said that because that's important, really being in alignment with your highest joy. Um,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
So tell me
so
where
important.
you're, since that is where you're focusing your energy on right now for 2024. Um, right now, where are your paintings? I noticed that you had some in some galleries.
Yes, thank you. Well, yes, I've got a few around locally where I am here, even though I've only been here, you know, for not that long. I think it's about 7 months now, but I've got a few around here. And I also have works in the UK, and I have had quite a few international commissions, particularly in the UK, and also Australian commissions as well. Um, I've called them, some of them, soul paintings, when I sort of like tune into people's souls and then I paint something for their soul that's going to be activating for them on some level, and they can meditate to them or whatever, or just hang them and look at them and then get the energy that way. But so the question being, do I have, yes, well, there's a gallery particularly in the UK that are asking about me exhibiting some work there, which is exciting. So I'm in negotiations for that. And I guess I will, or the other thing too is I've done greeting cards. So I've put the paintings onto cards, and then 10% of the payment or the income for the cards goes towards homeless people in my area. So I just did a video on my YouTube channel with an incredible guy who spends 16 hours a day buying food, preparing it, and taking it out to all the homeless in this area. So that's a totally you know, deserved cause, an amazing cause for that. And so the gift cards are something I've just done. I've just done a few bits and pieces, like my cup here. I've got some cups and a few different things. So yeah, but I love doing commissions as well for people. So if anyone's interested in, for a business or a home, I love all that. And at the moment I did, oh, this is really exciting. I did an interview with a fairy communicator, a fairy channeler, just the other day, and I posted, I think it was yesterday, and already had some amazing responses from people contacting me and saying they loved it. But I got very, very inspired to do a giant canvas after that conversation with the fairies and the unicorns. And so that's already well underway now, this big canvas with fairy and other things, but I don't want to spoil it.
Well, you'll have to show us when
Yeah.
it's completed for sure.
Oh, thank you, thank you. It's probably going to be about a 2-month project by the time, I've finished, because takes it's a big, and it takes a lot of work. And I do multiple layers to make the paint really quite thick, so it sort of stands out as well. So yeah, but it's joyful. I just get so much fun out of it. And I do things like I put essential oils of like harmony and joy in the paint. So it's also got those frequencies in it. And I put on beautiful music, like harp music and flute music, things like that while I'm painting, which is also very inspiring, and I guess very inspired by the fairies too. They'd be happy with that, I think.
Yeah, so you're drawn to fairies, unicorns. Tell us a little bit about your history with the fairies. How long have you been drawn to fairies?
I've always loved them, actually, ever since I was little, and I've had an awareness, that they exist since I was little, and I don't think I ever lost that. We had a little part where I grew up with little cute little I don't know what you call them, little plants with a little sort of heads on them, and we called it our fairy wood, and we'd go and sit in there and eat the sour grass. I don't know if you know sour grass, but it's sort of like a sour tasting grass, and sit in the fairy wood and imagine all the fairies around us. So that's something, and I guess I've always loved all the Irish tales of the little folk and things like that too. I really resonate with all that. And it's funny because I had literally on video, I've got a fairy, I swear. So what happened was I did a session with someone, and at the end of the session, it was one of the rare times where, as an Akashic gift, a fairy came in and said that they were working with the person. And then the next day, in exact the same spot, I put my video on and I recorded something, and it had a dark background behind me. And that fairy flew through the video, and you could actually see her flying through. And it was bigger shape than a bug or an insect, and you could sort of see a long elongated body, but it was very quick, flying through the view. But I've actually got it on video as well, which is really lovely. But I think that they're really important to humanity because they're great at manifesting. They help us with creativity, so obviously I'm getting a lot of inspiration from them, and they bring back a lot of joy and happiness and sort of lightheartedness. And they're very obviously connected to the environment, which is really important, us connecting to Mother Earth and honoring and being guardians for Mother Earth. And I just, yeah, I just love the energies. And when I had this session with this beautiful lady who's in Bali, the energy that she brought through the session was a very, very fun and bubbling laughter and joyful, and that is naturally, I guess, how I would like to relate. But when you relate to a lot of people in this reality that we exist in, you have to sort of push that down a bit and sort of suppress it, because otherwise you're going to come across as really, kooky or whatever. So I find that I'm realizing all this now, I've really put a lid on that a lot in this lifetime, because I think when you interact with people in that way, people sort of think you're a bit, I don't know, ditzy or whatever, and they will judge it, but naturally, I think that how the fairies relate is a little bit how I would naturally relate if I was given free rein to express myself completely freely, and I wasn't in an environment of this 3D reality, which is quite a bit denser.
Yeah, how you're describing that, it reminds me of like the innocence coming through and just being joyful. Is that
Yeah, totally.
mm.
Absolutely. And just, laughing and smiling. It does remind me when I was younger too. I remember when I got on the school bus when I was young, and I walked down the bus and I'm smiling at everyone, and everyone's looking. Is it me? And I'm thinking, why isn't anyone else smiling? So, it's that sort of thing, that sort of energy.
Well, you
Yeah.
do very lovely work with the rice humanity. So I think that we should spend a little bit of time talking about that because you have many, many videos out there. You interview a lot of people. So
Yes.
we're interviewing you now. I don't know how many times you get interviewed because you're out collecting everybody else's stories and interviewing them. So thanks for being with us today for that. But tell us a little bit about Arise Humanity. Who do you have come on the channel? What's your focus there? And anything about your social media channels and what you're trying to get out um, to humanity, to the world? What's your main goal?
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. That great questions that you're asking. And I tend to sort of start talking and then I get off track. So just bring me back if I need to come back to anything. But I guess when I was inspired first to set up Arise Humanity, it was at the beginning of the onset of this sort of accelerated phase of transition. And, we went into the whole pandemic thing. And I was very, very strongly motivated to try to make a difference on the planet. That's why I called it Arise Humanity. I wanted to contribute to a raising in consciousness and toward the whole ascension process of humanity in my own small way. And so I really was very, very inspired to do that. And I remember making my first video and it was really awkward, talking to the camera and that sort of thing. But I thought I'll get through this, and I kept persevering. And now I've done like over 600 videos on that channel and have interviewed some incredible people that I felt were inspirational, that were making a difference in the world. Such as yourself with your amazing book that you're going to be working on bringing out, and all the other work that you do. And so I get very strongly guided about who to interview. I've interviewed people like Pam Gregory, the astrologist, Diana Cooper, she works with angel energies and things, and some amazing people that were they're making a huge difference on the planet. So that's been a joy, and also doing creative things on there, sharing them, and encouraging people to bring out their own creativity. And yeah, a lot of other bits and pieces on the website, different things. Occasionally I'll bring through a poem, or someone will inspire me and I'll do a video on them, like I did one on Anastasia a while ago. So yeah, I just do whatever I'm guided that comes into the level of creativity, and I make it on iMovie, on Apple's iMovie, the movies. And so that's my main channel, Arise Humanity. And then Soul Family is one that came after that, when I got a couple of strikes, or actually one strike on YouTube, but also a warning. I thought I better have a backup channel there just in case, because I was also really exposing truth too. And we had a thing here that was showing what was happening with bees, and I did a video on that, and I edited it very strongly so I would be able to put it on YouTube, but it didn't pass the examination and I got a strike. So I thought, yes, I'm definitely going to have to set up a Rumble channel because it's less censored. And so that's another channel. And then Telegram, it's a space, Arise Humanity, for people, but you need to get a private invitation. I send links because you get a lot of scammers on these things, and so I send people a link. If you want to join, please contact me. And then we do posts on all the things that are happening, and people have said to me it's one of their favorite Telegram channels, that one, because it's got a lot of really good information there. And then I have an announcement channel, Creating a Better World, with all the things that I'm doing in the humanitarian projects that I'm supporting currently, the homeless, with the cards. And in terms of my other media, they're really the main ones. I'm also on Facebook, but I don't really put a lot of energy into that one, but it's there. And I have a Guardians of Sovereignty Facebook page, which was again inspired. I set up a group with someone else when the whole pandemic happened, exposing the true story of what was really going on that we felt was happening, in informing people about these so that they would be aware of the full information. We had a whole range of things as part of the Guardians of Sovereignty to help expose, the truth, including an admin team, a newsletter, a website, all that sort of thing. But it's sort of like we've got past that phase now, and now it's more about focusing for me on my joy and the painting. But that was the time when people needed to have more information, and everything was so heavily suppressed in Australia, very much so, like Canada, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. What I liked a lot about looking over your YouTube channel is you have a very broad spectrum of topics that you're talking about that you just did a video on fairies and unicorns, which I am not very familiar or tapped into. But then you have some information about galactic information. And
Yeah.
then you have people on who are just making a difference in the world, or who are creatives, who are spiritually tapped in, whether it be musicians or the gentleman that was helping the homeless people. So there's a lot of good work. And I feel like you're putting out, hey, there's a lot of good happening in the world. There's a lot of
Exactly.
things
Oh,
that
I'm
we
so
should
glad
be
you picked that
focused
up.
on there, you know?
Thank you. 'Cause I'm really glad you picked that up, because I've always thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if there's actually on mainstream media a good news channel where
Mhm.
you shared things about all the good things happening in the world and all the amazing people doing awesome things out there that we just don't get to see in these, and we know why, in these mainstream media channels, because that's not the purpose of why it's there. It's supporting a certain agenda. And so, for me, that was a real niche demand that, people need to see uplifting things that raise their vibration, as opposed to all the negative and fear-based things that people can tap into, particularly on mainstream media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's interesting whenever mainstream media I haven't watched for many years. And so I get to see all the beautiful things that are happening because that's what I'm paying attention to. And it's interesting when you switch your focus that way, how you can see how beautiful the world is.
Exactly. And isn't it the case that it's so much a choice?
Mhm.
What choice are you making about what you want to put your energy into, what you want to focus on? Sure, there's so much information out there at the moment about all sorts of narratives about people's ideas of what's going on in the world. But it's about really choosing the narrative that aligns with your consciousness and your energy. So if you are an optimistic and a hopeful person, and you know that the light is winning, then you need to bring your attention to those energies and those bits of information that align with that. And the rest of it, we need to sort of let go of, and just not give energy to, because
Mm.
what you focus on expands. And really our goal at the moment is to be in as high frequency as we can, and to help now to not only let go of the old ways and the old ways of being that don't serve us, and the old narratives and the old ways of perceiving things, because a lot of that's all based on false information anyway, but now just focusing on what sort of world we want to create, what sort of world would be an ideal world for us if we were given a magic wand, speaking of fairies, and we could say, this is what I want my world to look like,
Mm.
and then visualize that, spend time manifesting it. And that is just so important, because many people, you say, well, if you could have a choice, what sort of world would you have? And they say, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know about that. So if you don't know, and you're not clear, and you don't have clarity on what you want to create, how can we bring it into manifestation? So that is also part of painting, because in my paintings I paint beautiful colors and beautiful images that to me are very high frequency, high vibration. That's the world that I want to go into.
Oh yeah, that's the world I want to go into too. And you mentioned, what is this magic wand? Well, it's really what are we focusing on? What do we want to bring in? What are we paying attention to? And that's how you create your world, right? And that's the magic wand. That's the magic key right there.
Absolutely.
You in your last video, and I listened to, um, it was told to you that before long, the world we will be made new again. That was the
Yes,
message you got, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. I think that was from the fairies. The fairies said that uh, what has happened is humanity's fallen down and tumbled down really low, and now we're going back up the spiral, and we're making great progress, and the world is going to be made new again, and it's a wonderful thing to celebrate, even though we don't see necessarily the results of it now, and there's still, we're seeing the old remnants of the dark still, around in some ways on the planet. We we at a higher level, if you look at the other dimensional realms, it's already sort of happened in those realms, but our realm where we are, the physical reality, is the last sort of bastion of where the old energy is being held. So that's what we're seeing, and may continue to see for a while yet, before we really start to see in tangible form all the amazing shifts and changes that are underway. But I think that at the feeling level, we can feel it when we tune in, that feeling of feeling lighter and feeling the excitement and the anticipation of this new world that's coming in. I mean, on some of the Telegram channels I've been listening to, they've been talking about how the Nasara Jasara, or the RV, has actually just been initiated. It's been since the BIDEN thing has left, has said that they're not going to be there any longer. That's sort of like triggered or activated this next phase, apparently. So, how exciting will that be when the whole new financial system kicks in, and that we're all supported in abundance financially, and we can just do what we love, and we can be in our joy completely without having any limitations in terms of, oh, I've got to earn money to survive, rah, rah, rah. So that's incredibly exciting.
Yes, it is. And you mentioned that right now the physical world, I believe that everything is created in the energetic world first, and then
Totally.
we see it in the physical reality at a later point. And
Absolutely.
tapping into that energetic world, it is a lot of things happening, a lot of beautiful things happening. And there's people that are getting messages all over the world about this. So it's just
Yes.
a matter of paying attention to that, and of the energetic world that we can see, and of that
Mhm.
we want. And I don't think it will be long at all. I don't think any of us have the
No.
magic answer of exactly when things are going to happen. But I believe abundance is here for us now, whenever we can, whenever we
Ab-
can really tap into, keep our mindset strong, focus on what we want. It's
Yeah,
available to us now.
absolutely. Oh, totally agree. And it's like, if you focus on the things that you want to have in your reality, even if you can't see them in your physical world right now, what happens is you're actually energetically drawing it down through the timelines into the now moment,
Mhm.
and you sort of shorten the length of time at which it takes to actually come into the present by visualizing it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree with
Yeah.
that because
Have I explained
we
that?
experience that, right? We experience
Yeah,
that
yeah,
even in our
yeah.
daily lives right now. And that's why I think you and I and many other people, Veronica, are working on teaching people keep your vibration high, because you are actually attracting those higher vibrational realities to you. And that is, the law of attraction is real. And the primary thing is your vibration. So that's what people need to focus on. How do you feel? How are you feeling today? How's your vibration? How are your emotions? Are you in joy? So the painting and being in that joyful state is really key for you.
And
That's
that
your joy,
reminds me,
right?
definitely, definitely, Jennifer. That reminds me when I first talked to you, which was only a week ago,
Mhm.
and we were just chatting away. And I swear I didn't touch my computer. I was sitting in the dark and I just had a light on my computer. And I think because we were connecting, I started to go sort of like glow and go shinier. And so my face sort of changed, the light on my face got bigger. And it was really weird. But it has happened another time. But it's, when you make these amazing energetic connections with other souls who are on the same page, that stuff facilitates and you actually eventually become transparent. I remember there was this lady I watched. She was an amazing being. She lived in Hawaii and she was a great evolved sort of soul. And eventually, when she spoke on camera, you could only really just see her nose bit of her eyes, and the rest of it was sort of dissolved into like a crystalline body, and you couldn't see her, so she was sort of like invisible, which is really funny. So that's actually happening to people now. So it's amazing, isn't it? And that's from connecting more and more with, I think, our soul family, and networking, and just join together in our humanitarian goals and purposes and our life missions. And yes, it's very exciting.
It is very exciting. Yeah, it's our crystalline DNA structure. It's an
Yes,
upgrade in our DNA. And
yes,
it's
yes.
that's fabulous. There were some more things that you're involved in. You're very drawn to the water, and you've had some water workshops. I seen a ceremony you did all about the water. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and kind of explain that to the audience?
Well, Veda Austin, who's an authority on water from the UK, she describes it perfectly when she says that water is actually God consciousness. So when there's a real awareness now coming into people's consciousness that water is much more than what we have thought. Water is holding a really important key to planetary ascension and liberation. And so there's more and more focus from so many people now on water and how we can raise the frequency of water, how we can bless and heal the waters around the planet. And I've been doing workshops with Dr. Alex Ling, an amazing geologist and researcher from the UK who is working with Aquan, and that is a blessed sort of sacred water. And he's also working with indigenous communities in Mexico who have lagunas, like lagoons, that are very blessed water. And um, so it's all the ways that we can really support the water as an energy, as a being in its own right, to be at its best potential, because then of course it impacts everything. And water for me is inherently very important. The last 4 places I've lived have been on the water, like 1 minute from the most beautiful beach here. And I just love being near the ocean, being near the water. And to me, it's really important to my soul. And this funny story, because I was just in this video that I shared about the fairies. They said to me that she didn't know anything about me, and she said to me, "You're the daughter of a Norse sailor." Funny story. My great grandfather was a explorer who sailed on the seas, and one of them, my ancient relative, was sailing around the northern tip. I think it's called Cape York of Australia, which is one of the most dangerous, treacherous waters in Australia. But one of the first explorers to be traveling around there on a ship and exploring. And my heritage is originally Norwegian on my mother's side, because originally it was Norway and then it became part of Shetland Islands. So they were spot on accurate, and 3 points that, they knew nothing about me when, we had this interaction. So that was really, again, affirming my DNA connection with water.
Mhm. Yeah, water's important. And just through my healing teachers, the spiritual teachers who have taught me all of my healing modalities, that's the one thing they always say too after healing is to offer water to people, blessed water through your, really infuse it with your energy. And I do that at
Yeah,
home too with our water before the kids.
yeah.
I get all of my water infused with the good energy. So, um,
Well, I can give people a tip if that helps. This is straight from Dr. Alex Ling in one of the workshops, where he said that very important, if you can, to infuse your water, and it's very simple to do. What you do is you can get a bottle and just hold it on your heart and just put the heart energy into the water for a minute, and just put that energy, say put my heart energy into the water now, expand the water at a cellular level with my heart energy, with divine unconditional love, hold that there. And then what you can do is you can spin the water in one direction for a minute, and then spin it in the other direction for a minute, and just do that a few times. And you're actually putting life force or activation into the water, so that it is more like structured water. And everyone can do that. And what you can do as well is do a test. So have like a cup of water next to it, which hasn't been, you haven't done that on, have a taste of that, and then do that with that and have a taste of that. And you'll notice they taste completely different. So that is just a simple way that you yourself, every time you drink water, can structure your own water to be at a higher vibration. And I encourage everyone to when you go to waters, bless the water. Aquan, we tell people you can put a few drops of that in water sources and it will spread out and go, because it's a very high frequency water, sacred water that we can drink, and that but we can put in other water sources. But you can just bless the water wherever you are, and send it beautiful energy. And if we all consciously work with water in that way, the planet will shift very quickly.
mhm. I love that tip. I have not heard anybody explain it that way, but it makes sense because that's where so much of your energy is right here in front of your heart area. So, putting the water there, I love it. Simple tip for people, right? Just to make a
Yeah, absolutely.
difference. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. I hope that people out there are feeling inspired, because I think for many years we just, water was there. It was just something that was there. We didn't give it a lot of energy or attention, but now we're realizing, wow, this water is a source of our liberation and our evolution. It's so important. And we're just, it's, the penny's starting to drop for us now. Yeah.
You had mentioned someone who does the water experiments. What was her name? Aveda?
Veda Austin,
Austin.
VEDA Austin, AUSTIN. And she's quite renowned for her work with water. There's some amazing people, obviously there's the books by Emoto, the Japanese man who, the meaning of the secret meaning of water, I think, or Alex Ling is doing some wonderful work as well. If people want to join the workshops, please contact me. We're working with shaman. Our next workshop, we're going to have a Apache chief shaman, which will be just brilliant. I'm so excited about that. We had two other amazing shaman in the last one, as well from South America. But I love learning from these incredible, wise souls. So we always have a special person there to help us learn more. Yeah.
Yeah, I love learning too. It was Veda Austin who, one of Veronica and I's spiritual teachers, we use what's called an Abasa symbol, and she sent that to Veda Austin to test it in the water to see what would come out. And what came out of that special sacred symbol, the heartbeat of the universe, after being in the water, was the tree of life.
Oh
So
gosh.
Veda does amazing things.
That is amazing. I've got a painting called The Tree of Life too. Another synchronicity. Yeah, yeah, I think that's really special. Yeah, wow. Because the water, um, it holds the consciousness. So you put a consciousness into water and it holds that. And if you go and look at it through a microscope, you can see that at the time of the solar eclipse, there were Alex Ling was in Mexico at a very sacred place, and they had an eagle fly overhead right at the moment of the solar eclipse, and then they looked under a microscope at the eclipse water that was in a bowl out at that time under the eclipse, and there was literally an eagle in a symbol in the water, and it shows it literally held the consciousness of that exact moment in the shape of the eagle that flew over at that moment. Isn't that incredible?
It is incredible. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Well, Medina, was there any other topics that you wanted to touch on? Any other creativity in your life? I mean, I'm trying to think, is there any more creativity that you could bring in? You have a lot going on.
Thank you. Well, I can't think of anything else particularly. It's been so lovely to chat with you, and you've asked some great questions. I think we've covered so much territory. I just think a message to go out at the moment is that, there's so much disinformation out there in different channels. There's so much fear-based information about, all the potential catastrophes and problems that could arise during this transition time on Earth. And sure, we don't know exactly how the phase between now and the victory of the light, the celebration, we don't know how long that's going to be. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But just being really mindful of holding the space for a world that goes through a transition as smoothly and easily as possible. I think that that's really important right now. If everyone holds that vision and just stays in their space of divine love in their heart center and holding the space for divine love, we will be able to transition through this phase much more smoothly and easily, because it is, of course, the collective consciousness that really determines how this final phase of the transition is going to happen.
Mhm. Well, that's a beautiful message. And I thank you for all of the work that you've done with the Rise Humanity. You've been doing it for many years now, and you have made a difference. And everyone else that's out there talking and helping, there's so many beautiful people doing the work, and the collective consciousness is rising. And I believe that it will be a very smooth transition and very quickly for everyone.
Fantastic. And that's the vision we all should try to hold in, regardless of all the energies out there at the moment. So that's brilliant. And thank you also, both of you, for everything that you're doing on the planet. It's so much a joint effort, and we should be honoring ourselves, I've been told, because it's happening in a more accelerated way than they have anticipated upstairs, because of all the work that we're doing and because of the space that we are already holding. So good on us, humanity.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Medyhne. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your service. And